Hi, everybody. Hello, I'm Sherry Lord, the host of the Good Morning Podcast every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We're so excited to be offering our podcast every Tuesday. And anybody who wants to be a guest, please email me at sherry-lord@hotmail.com and give me your info and your website. We'd love to have you on. But what we would like to do is also whoop, I kind of went on a freeze zone here, but I think it will correct itself in a minute. I don't know why I did that, but it's going to be all right. We're going to keep going. And there it goes. It just loosened itself back up. But we just want to say good morning to everybody. Keep your thoughts positive. And if you're having like a drag, slow day, just have a cup of coffee, maybe two, make it real strong, and maybe a double cappuccino, something to get you moving, something to get you moving. The main thing is have a fantastic day, and we have a very special guest. And she's amazing. And this is Cathy Lindsey. We just want to say welcome, Cathy. We're so happy to have you on our podcast.
Hi.
I'm so happy we get to reconnect. I met you back in Iowa many, many years ago at Morning Light Bookstore, and I've learned some new things about you. But what I like to do is read your bio to everybody so everybody can get a feeling of what type of astrology you do.
Okay.
And astrology that you are. And I also found some things fascinating. I never knew you had a near-death experience until I talked to you in our conversation. I found that very interesting, your life and your journey.
Yeah.
And Cathy, in 1994, after a near-death experience with cancer, Cathy received her psychic gifts, including the gift of astrology. She woke up in the recovery room surrounded by her angels and guides who told her that the cancer was gone and that she needed to accomplish something in this lifetime. So her journey began to find her life's purpose, that of astrology. To begin with, Cathy sorted through and read many astrology books, but there was always something missing from each book. But what? Cathy asked her angels and guides for help, and lo and behold, they guided her to pick up a book by Stephen Forrest and a book right next to it written by Jerry Wolf Green. These books talked about the soul and included the spiritual and evolution of the soul. Suddenly, she knew her life's purpose. Her mission became evolutionary astrology, which is soul and spirituality-based astrology, to guide others in their soul's intent, honoring the free will and free choice that we'll all have. Throughout this guided process, Cathy studied with two leading renowned evolutionary astrologers, Jeffrey Wolf Green, and graduated from Stephen Forrest Astrological Apprenticeship Program. She studied esoteric astrology from the University of Seven Rays, and her other studies included psychology, sociology, and metaphysics, and ancient wisdoms. Cathy is also a clairaudient, which is psychic hearings, a clairascendant, which is psychic feelings, and clairvoyant, psychic visions, and brings these gifts into her readings. Her passion lies in guiding you on your soul's evolution for this lifetime. By understanding the lessons from your past lives, you can learn to heal so that you can move forward towards your soul's intent to be able to use the gifts, strengths, and talents that are included in your birth chart. Cathy's path has led her to become a teacher of evolutionary astrology. She conducts face-to-face, one-on-one readings, as well as doing readings over the phone. Cathy also gives readings, metaphysical fairs throughout the Midwest, and is available to travel for teachings and speaking engagements and upon request. Cathy has developed a following of individuals who are interested in her life-changing soul level of work. She is truly an inspiration to others with her abilities and passions for the universal laws of attraction, the art of manifestation, and her intuition in knowing how to guide us to work with our own angels and guides. In the past year, Cathy's angels and guides have guided her to the next steps of her journey, in addition to being guided to write articles and books on several astrological subjects. She has been guided to share her knowledge speaking on radio shows and video conferences throughout the United States and internationally, as well as being a guest speaker on various panel discussions. And you can contact her from below. On our panel, we have a little scroll with Cathy's, and we're going to put Cathy's information up there. We're going to do that right now. So you want to have her on there so that you can get her information. There we go. You're going to see her information scroll. You're going to hit show here so that you can see it. There you go. Now you can be able to contact Cathy. We're so happy to have you. Woohoo! Yay, it's so good to reconnect with you. It's been many, many years, but I always found you to be unique with what you do. There's many of the astrologers and many people who like astrology is watching us today. And a lot of people want to know what's going on with me this week or this month. You know, people love those parts too on their daily, but people also love to have their lifelong, what their path is and what does it show? What were they learning? What were they to accomplish? What were they to overcome? So there's so much involved with the stars. But what I found fascinating with you was that you take astrology to another level. You have the balance of not just the physical experiences in the stars, but you also have the spirituality part with it. So I think that brings into more of a whole picture on both sides instead of just one portion of it. And I think that's really, really fascinating. But what I'd like to know is, can you share with everyone who's watching a little bit about your near-death experience, or how did that all come about? What was going on in your life at that time? I found that very fascinating. I had no idea you had that experience.
Yeah, and at that time in my life, I really wasn't into any astrology or metaphysics. I didn't realize that I had a lot of this in me, but it hadn't really come into my consciousness yet. And when I went into, I remember when I had to go into surgery for my cancer, that I did a lot of praying and a lot of connecting, you know, to God and spirit, etc.
Yep.
At that time. And, but I wasn't into any of this consciously yet.
Okay.
When I woke up in the recovery room, like I said to you earlier, my angels and guides were all around me, and my angels were like light.
Okay.
Shaped like angels, and their voices were musical. But I understood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I understood what they were saying. And they told me the cancer was gone, and there was something I had to do I hadn't done yet, and they would guide me. And all through the process, even to where I am now, I realized I've been guided. And I'm always conscious of the fact it's like, okay, I'm being guided, or I'm being presented something new. That feeling's never really left.
Okay.
And so I just trusted and I followed.
Oh, wow.
Followed their guidance. You know, in the beginning, even the fact that I was in a bookstore and a book actually fell off the shelf, and it said how to cast your own birth chart and all this kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, you know, this is interesting. We had a blizzard coming in at that time, and I thought, keep me busy over the weekend. So anyway, I drew up my own birth chart, and by what they said, that I had trouble with the ascendant. So the next Monday or Tuesday or whatever, I went into a metaphysical bookstore here in Des Moines, Morning Light.
Okay.
And asked about a book on ascendants. And I told the lady that I had drawn up my own birth chart, etc. And she showed me a book on ascendants. And then she said to me, honey, people don't just draw up their birth charts over a weekend.
Oh, that's true.
And she took my hand. And when she took my hand, I knew, I felt it. I could feel the energy and everything. I knew I was being guided. She took my hand, led me upstairs to where a group of astrologers was meeting.
Wow.
And so that's how I always knew I was being guided. And it's been over 30 years, and the cancer's
Oh, wow. Wow. That is amazing. And that's amazing. I mean, that's a miracle. You know, that's what I would call a miracle. So as you were getting started on your path, and you were doing all of this studying, you were shifting and changing at the same time. You know, I can see how it can change and shift one person, and they're in who they are, and it's kind of like shedding. But you also come to the point where what you've learned, you've gone beyond what you've learned? You know, you kind of like added to it. Did you channel this? Was this from spiritually guided? And how has it evolved? You know how when you started out with the astrology and then you realized I had to add the spirituality, how has it evolved from the time you started to where you are today? How has it evolved? Because it is evolving. We're constantly evolving. So I can see how astrology has to evolve too.
Exactly. A lot of the traditional astrology books I kind of had a little trouble with in the beginning because they weren't allowing that spiritual part or the psychic intuitive
part, I got it.
Which I knew, I didn't know why, but I knew wasn't right. And so that is what preceded me on with that. And then when I found Jeffrey and Stephen's books, they were both, and so and learning to trust guidance and manifesting also became very important. I met my two teachers, Stephen and Forrest. I manifested. That's what you said. Yeah, I manifested all of that.
Wow. I believe you were divinely guided to all of them.
Exactly.
Absolutely, you manifested it. Absolutely. I felt you were in line with the right people in your path.
Yes. And trusting
that. Trusting it is the key. It really, really is, because a lot of people don't, you know, and I think it's important that you do. I think it's very, very important that you do. What can you say? The other thing I found very interested with you, I really, in our conversation we had before the show, I didn't know about you, you know, and I had no idea, you know, but what I really felt was really interesting is that you also talked about not only it's evolutionary that it grows, but how does it affect, like you like also the world events. That's the one I wanted to talk about. You like what's going on with astrology, with the world events, and it's kind of been crazy lately. It's been scary for a lot of people. So what can you highlight about the world astrology and kind of give people some comfort about what's going on in these countries, what's going on with the presidency, what's going on with the United States, what's happening? It feels like there's turmoil in certain areas and calm in other areas. And it's been a big uprooted change is what I kept feeling. It's bringing a lot of change, but people need to know how to harness that a little bit better in their life and know that everything's going to be okay. Right. It's been really big change since COVID and all this other stuff. It has been, but it feels like since COVID, it has really shifted into really bringing in a lot of change.
Yeah, and a lot of transformation. First, I want to say one thing, that everything is energy. So people can understand this. And it's scientifically proven that every star, planet, and asteroid has its own individual energy. So that energy is when you're born, that's your birth chart, is the energy you came in with to do your soul work with. That energy is constantly, all the time, affecting everything on Earth. The Earth itself, all the people, all humanity. So when the planets and what they represent up in the sky, if they're not getting along very well, we're feeling that energy down here.
Ah, I see. Wow.
You know, so if they're not in good aspects, we have harmonious aspects, we have challenging aspects, we feel that energy down here. And so it is, you know, everything's energy. Now, when you're talking about the world events right now, I can say now and for a while back that the main corporate, or the main energy to be watching, the main planet is Pluto.
Oh, okay.
And Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. Capricorn rules the government. And the military, our structures, corporate America, CEOs, etc. Pluto is about transformation. Pluto doesn't care where you live, what kind of house you have, what kind of car you drive. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. It cares about the evolution of your soul, or the soul of the earth, or the soul of humanity. Okay. So Pluto's been in the sign of the government, corporate America, since 2008, and it's really been quite powerful. And this is what we've been seeing over these last several years. Well, Pluto right now, as of about 2 to 3 weeks ago, is in Aquarius. But it'll go back into Capricorn on June 11th. So we're getting a little peek at what's going to happen when Pluto moves into Aquarius, you know, towards the end of next year. Well, it moves in for 20 years. Okay.
Right.
It's going to be about the people. It's going to be about we the people. It's going to be about humanity. It's going to be about our tribes, the communities, future thinking outside the box. That's all Aquarius. While it's been in Capricorn, it's been putting in our face everything that needs to be upgraded, that needs to be changed. I like to use the word upgrade. It's not as fearful. In the United States and the government, not only just the United States and the governments of the whole world, in every, you know, all the corporate, etc. All of that government structures, corporate, needs to be upgraded.
Okay.
So Pluto's been putting all that stuff that's been hidden in closets, under the rug, etc., in our faces so we can see it. Because we can't feel it, we can't change it if we don't know what it is. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, it feels like what was hidden is being revealed. You know,
exactly.
But it's like uprooting it, and a lot of us are going through change and huge transformation individually. Yes. And I know I have personally, and I really had to let go of the old way and let myself come out of the box. And you said come out of the box. I get that one. I definitely had to shift the way I was doing things, and it has really made it more easier once I harnessed it and I got it, like a light bulb come on. Okay, I see I'm to go in this direction now, and add new things of what I've learned, not what I've always been doing, you know.
Right. It's kind of like moving away from people, places, things, and situations that are no longer vibrating where you're vibrating.
No longer serves you. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's letting go completely.
Exactly.
What is happening? I know that we're in 2023. So what do you feel? I mean, what's been happening like right now in 2023? What do you feel? And I know the planets you say are changing. And what do you kind of feel overall? I know there's so many different astrology signs, but as far as the stars or the planets go, what do you see for this year? What can people expect, and what can they do to make it easier for them?
Well, I think understanding that the changes going on all around you and the government out there, etc., those same energies are affecting you and your birth chart. Okay. So we're all transforming, we're all changing, we're all moving to that higher level. Yeah. And don't go into the fear of it. Just realize that these changes need to be made for the evolution of the planet, humanity, and for ourselves. Okay, so right now a lot of the chaos and a lot of the things where you just go, oh my God, now this is happening, and you know, realize we just need to see them so that when Pluto moves into Aquarius, they can, you know, we know what needs to be upgraded for the good of the people. Okay. So yeah, be sure to just stay out of the fear. If you realize, you know, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel here when Pluto shifts from government-controlled Capricorn, basically, quote unquote, to we the people, Aquarius, we the people, Aquarius, will be able to change things for the good of the people, and not the CEOs and not that. But we have to see it. We have to know what needs to be changed.
Well, that's a good message, is to let go of the fear, because sometimes we get caught in it. And it's almost like a tar pit, and you have to remove your focus from it. I don't mind watching the news once in a while, but I don't get caught up in it. You know, I have to turn it off for a while, but I don't mind knowing what's happening around the world so that I have a better understanding. I think it's important to do that, but not get caught into all the chaos that's going on. Just focus on your own path.
Yeah, exactly. You know, be able to I mean, a lot of times I'll have the news on and I keep it on silent and I just watch for breaking headlines and just tune into that so that I'm not bombarded all day long by all that stuff. Because we have to know what's going on and what's happening. I love to do people's charts, etc., to of course, to guide them in their soul's evolution. But when they walk out that front door, they're going into the energy of the collective. They're going into the energy of humanity, out there. So they have to have a little bit of an idea how to navigate that energy.
Exactly. I think it's really good. I think what you're doing is giving the clarity that a lot of people need, because it has been, it's been dramatic. I mean, I've been, all these years, it just seems like it's been intensified. I think that's the word.
It has.
I can say it feels intensified.
Think of it this way. Pluto, the planet of transformation, in the sign of the government. And with the United States, we're at our Pluto return. It takes Pluto from 1776 to now to go all the way around a chart. So we're being, kind of hit, but all over the world is. I mean, look at England, everywhere this energy comes down to everybody. Okay. And so, when we understand that this is for the bigger transformation, we're at the end of it. We only have a little bit, like like a year, give or take, as Pluto moves from Capricorn to Aquarius, dips into Aquarius and Capricorn for this next through 2024. Then it's going to go into Aquarius. And I believe that is like the age of Aquarius happening then. It's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years.
Yeah.
So Pluto's like, revving its tail up. Pluto's like, you got to see this because this needs fixed. You got to see this because this needs fixed. And it's like, we feel like we're being bombarded.
Okay. You're helping me understand it in a bigger view than, looking at everything that's going on. You're really helping it feel more calm, because I'm like, give me another cappuccino. Something's going on here. I'm watching this movie going on in the world. Give me a double. I need it. But it's nice that you share that it will calm down a little bit. That it'll start to shift. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you look at it this way, because right now Pluto's one of the main planets happening. Of course, last night, actually, we had a major eclipse with Pluto squaring the eclipse. So Pluto was involved in that huge hybrid eclipse that happened last night. Okay. Pluto's a main player. Now, I'll give you this might help a little bit for everybody out there. When the Declaration of Independence was written was in 1776. Pluto was in Capricorn. The Declaration of Independence was forming our government. Okay. 1777, Pluto went into Aquarius, just like what we're doing right now. All right. Yeah. 1778, the Constitution was written with the beginning line of "We the people."
Yep.
Okay. That's what we're shifting from and shifting into. Does that help?
Yes. Okay. So it's all the changes in between that has to take place for it to evolve from where it is.
Right. And back in 1776, laws and etc. could be put into action with a handshake or your word. That meant something. Your handshake and your word could become law. 1776, etc. Okay, that needs to be upgraded right now.
Wow.
It doesn't need to be destroyed. We need to upgrade. And that's the way to look at this.
To look at it as upgrade?
Yeah.
Look at it as an upgrade.
Yeah, and not a destruction. The whole world's falling apart. We need to upgrade. That's all. We need to upgrade some of this stuff.
And also the thing that I think I like to share with you, as a channel, we're both channels. We have our gifts and abilities. But what I have noticed is there's been a lot of people leaving the earth plane. There's been a lot of people of all ages leaving. And can you elaborate a little bit on that and kind of have people understand it? Nobody wants a loved one to go. We understand it. We also know at the soul level that there's a purpose behind everything when that happens.
Right. And I believe that totally. And I think a lot of people are leaving because like their work is done. A lot of people, we needed a lot of people in this Capricorn energy. We needed a lot of people that could bring a lot of stuff forward or create chaos or to create, disturbances, etc. So, and then the new people, coming in, etc., will be doing things, living, working with the collective on a different level.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's just, I also feel it brings change for the family to do changes there. How does that affect the family members? They have the hardest time. We know they're fine over there, but
they do.
When it's someone really close, takes time for them to, it's very, 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 very hard. I get that. But I also, is there anything else you'd like to share with us that you have found or that you have about the stars or the planets, what's going on right now? Anything else you'd like to share that you find fascinating?
I find fascinating just little tidbits that we're getting right now, just little lights at the end of the tunnel with Pluto and Aquarius.
Yeah.
Again, Aquarius is future thinkings. It's our genius energy. It's our tribes. It's our community. It's all humanity. We're all created equal. We're all one. We're all one human race. That's all very Aquarian. Okay. So we're seeing little lights, at the end of the tunnel right now while Pluto's in Aquarius until June 11th, and then it retrogrades back out. That Pluto went into Aquarius about 3 weeks ago. About 2 weeks before that, Saturn went into Pisces. Okay, which is Pisces being very spiritual, very psychic. A lot of our channeling comes in through Pisces and working with angels and guides. And Saturn rules the government. Saturn rules Capricorn. And so I think it's fascinating when you figure out what the universe is doing here. Wow. So at the time when it's changing kind of government things into a new way of looking at not the real powerful corporates and the leaders and the et cetera, working at humanity, but now we also have a spiritual part coming in at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So when you think
it's forcing the change in some way.
Yeah, so when you think of how the universe works, it's like, wow, okay.
Oh my God, this has been so awesome. But we also want to take a few minutes before our half hour is up. We have some people who have some questions and answers.
Okay.
And I'm going to read them to you.
All right.
And one is from Cathy Thorsten. She's from Michigan, Cedar, Leelanau County. And this is her question. And her question is, I recently learned of the Aries-Taurus cusp being April 17th to April 23rd. My birthday is the 17th. My son is the 19th, and my sister's the 21st. Can you reflect more on these dates or how this affects their family? They're all pretty close in that particular area.
Yeah. Of course, everybody's individual birth chart, makes a big difference. Now, when they talk about the cusp between Aries and Taurus, the cusp happens like on one date, all right? But it's not for the whole date. Someone could be born like on, say, the date of the 21st. Someone can be born on that day in the morning and still have an Aries sun, and they can maybe be born in the afternoon and have an Aries sun. It depends on what time of day that the sun
that they were born.
Yeah, actually moves into that sign. So it's not the whole day, and it's not the day before or after. It is technically when the sun actually moves into, say, Taurus at 00 degrees. And the only way to really know that is to have a chart brought up, from like an astrology program to know when it actually changes.
Wow.
Let me give you a real quick example. My father was born on July 22nd. July 22nd is when the sun moves into Leo. Okay. So when I brought his chart up, his sun was actually 29 degrees and 59 minutes of Cancer. So he was actually a Cancer sun. A couple minutes later, he would have been a Leo. But I could see that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And so, to actually know when you are born on that day, what your sun is, actually, you need to bring it up. You need to bring it up on the.
Okay. What is the characteristics of an Aries? What are they mainly known as? Aries?
Aries, what are they mainly known as? Okay, Aries is ruled by Mars.
Okay.
Okay, so Aries, there's always a high side and a low side to every sign, every house, every planet. And of course, we want to move to that high spiritual side. The high side of Aries is passion, initiation,
Okay.
it's courage.
Oh, wow.
It's like the pioneer that will take that step into the unknown, that courage. It's action. You know, it's a very, very high energy sign.
Okay.
On the gray side of Aries is arguments, war, abuse,
okay.
Fighting, that kind of thing.
Okay. Wow.
There's a high and a low to every sign and every planet.
Well, I have, thank you for that information. I'm sure she's going to love it. I'm sure she'll be watching this or is watching it. And the second question I have is a friend of mine, Beth Perry. She's from Waterford, Oakland County. And her question was, I recently learned, her question is, how are the world events affecting our spiritual evolution? But I think you answered a lot of that as we were, is that true? How are our world events affecting our spiritual evolution? Maybe that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think I talked a lot about that.
Yeah, I felt you hit on a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then her second question is, what does it signify if a near-death experience is negative or dark?
If a near-death experience what?
Was negative or dark. If somebody said they had a near-death and they had a negative or a dark experience, were they fully out, or what was that? Or is it just still in their physical body and haven't quite went? Because I always know that once the soul goes, it's just pure love. So I'm not sure what the person, she knew someone who had told her that was their experience. So she was just curious to know.
I would say most near-death experiences, are positive, or they initiate something, my thought process on what you were talking about there might have been she was in a spot where she needed to move real fast.
Okay. Oh, wow, that makes sense.
Yeah, in an area that she needed to move out of, get going, switch it. I was talking about the low side.
Oh, so things will happen to shift somebody, and this is the way this person's spiritual path unfolded to. That's an interesting perception. I never heard it that way. I think that's really a good point of view to look at it in a different viewpoint here. That was a wonderful experience or information too.
Well, even like with mine that I talked about earlier, I wasn't into any of this. That just kind of I went full strength ahead into spirituality, which I wasn't into before.
So it wasn't a bad experience. It was just their soul's growth experience. That's why I felt that,
Yeah, and it might have felt bad because the soul might have been saying, you have to switch. You don't have much time. You've got to switch.
Oh, okay. So it forces them to choose it, Wow, that's a really good perception to look at it that way. Is that something? I just want to say thank you, Cathy, for coming on our show. And we'll definitely be bringing you back again. And anybody that had missed the scrolling on the bottom, we will be on Facebook. Share it on Facebook Live. Please help us share us on Facebook Live. And more information on Cathy will be on our website at www.sherrylord.com, SHERRYLORD. And you can click on her links there to contact her directly. Or if you were watching and wrote the information down, how to like her and connect with her on Facebook or on her website. She's amazing. And I tell you what, she's accurate, but she's really coming at a balance of both spiritual and physical. So you're going to get a really good reading with her. We just want to say thank you, Cathy, and please stay in the studio even after we're done here, because we just need to talk a little bit more. But thank everybody that had joined us, and please help us share this on Facebook. We'll see you next week with another special guest. Have a wonderful, blessed day, everybody, and positive thoughts. Thank you, Cathy.
You're welcome.